Hello and welcome back to Final Fantasy V Advanced. Let's play a blind run, everyone. Despite that I know what I'm going until we get to a certain part, it's still a blind run for the majority. I don't think the game is 2 hours long. If so, then I was close to the end of that. Didn't even see Gilgamesh. Anyways, Shining Squirrel here. Now I'm about to go to the pub and get completely drunk. Or first we're going to go here and get a little dance for Bartz. I wonder if this would be on the 3DS remake. And I presume he's getting a lap dance. Or some sort of dance. I mean, come on now, on top of him. It's spinning. It's saying woo. Generic sprite says Pie Boston upstairs. And there's Faris, all asleep. And Bartz decided to go in there and it's shocked and in love. Now you're probably thinking, isn't Faris a male? Give me gay characters in Final Fantasy. I mean, look at Franklin Neil. Oh dear, I just went there. So I had to make that reference. I never gay or bi, or I just have the hot for a bit of a bromance with a ridiculous amount of bromance in here. I mean, a sense, but hey. To be honest, I wouldn't care, really, but it's up to you. Any homophobic comments will be deleted and you will be blocked. So, don't pop up, you idiot. Anyway, back to the game. I think I should have slapped him. Boys will be boys. So what does Faris need to do by himself? Now, this way. Wait, no, not see. Up here. Up there. My controls. I don't know what I'm doing. There we go. Zoc. But. Something there? Yep. He built it on the canal. He built it. I know. Yeah, I'm gonna go see how the generic old man sprite. Oh my god. Generic old man sprite number 49 with green palette swap. Damn, they're original and inventive. And again, I'm guessing this guy's a minor character who just happens to have a name, so making a brand new sprite for him wouldn't be worth the effort, so it's pretty much a palette swap. Pretty other people around with green that palette anyway. That's the same sprite. Although some games have been lazy with palette swaps. Final Fantasy 13 and is main offender for this. I mean, most of the bosses are palette swaps of other enemies and bosses. For example, the ultimate enemy, first singer Trox, or I don't even know how in Yevin's name you pronounce it. I don't even know how you pronounce it, but first singer Troix. But pretty much, it's supposed to be the ultimate monster. We're thinking, okay, this thing's gonna look badass, it's gonna like penance, steroids, it's got 16 million HP, it's gonna look like Yasma's bitch. Excuse me, it's gonna make Yasma his bitch. And then you find out this is a palette swap with a little aura behind it. I mean, come on! Whilst the design itself is pretty cool, it's not original for that to be a palette swap. I mean, come on. There's ultimate enemy and it looks the same as his ultimate monster, and it looks like the thing you killed. It's like the things you killed on the way to the Titan trials. Final Fantasy X is also an offender of palette swaps as well, because most there are quite a handful of enemies that are just palette swaps. And back to Final Fantasy V. They probably palette swaps in this as well, but a bit of a backstory for poor Bartz. Okay, so Bartz's dad had something to do with crystals. I don't remember what Bartz said a minute ago, and what they're on about now. The crystals could kill Bartz's dad. Or something. Pointless trivia moment. Did you know Final Fantasy V was actually the first Final Fantasy to get a sequel? It wasn't a game. It was an anime. Alright? I think it's Final Fantasy V Legend. Oh my god, he's spying on her as he sleeps. As she sleeps. Sorry about that. And yeah, Final Fantasy V had a sequel anime based 500 years or something after this. So it's probably just based in the same world with references to this, but it's not actually the same character. Apparently Bartz and the Final Fantasy V crew do make a cameo at the end or something. They do make an appearance if I'm right. I think it's sort of like a flashback or some sort of illusion. Seeing like, yeah, Peter Boy is a light bitch. So Sock is giving Bartz the key. He was worried about Lena, so he hid the key, but you know, he thought, okay, no, he trusts Bartz and Galuf and knows Lena's that dedicated. Another misconception people get. People always say Final Fantasy VII was the first Final Fantasy game released in Europe. True and false. It was the first game released in Europe as Final Fantasy, if I'm right, and as the Final Fantasy Adventure. Now, Final Fantasy Adventure, which is a Legend of Mana, is a mana game, was called Final Fantasy to, just to boost sales and popularity. Whereas, in Europe, for some reason, it was called Mystic Quest. Okay, hang on, isn't there a Final Fantasy game already called Mystic Quest? Yes, Final Fantasy Mystic Quest, or Final Fantasy USA, as it was called in Japan, was made obviously for the American games, because these Americans don't attack for this, but the Japanese did think American gamers were stupid. So they made a really easy, really basic, beginner-friendly Final Fantasy game to try and market the franchise. Try and boost the franchise over in the States. I wouldn't say it worked. I mean, it probably got the name a bit more known. I'm not sure, but not really worked. I mean, Mystic Quest was pretty much the first Final Fantasy spin-off. But Mystic Quest actually got a release in Europe, but it was not called Final Fantasy. It was called something else, which I forgot. But it was, if I'm right, Final Fantasy Adventure was the first Final Fantasy game. It wasn't the first Final Fantasy because it was actually like a mana game. It's called a Final Fantasy to big sales. If it actually was a Final Fantasy game, I don't know. If so, then Legend of Mana, Final Fantasy Adventure, the Mystic Quest is in Europe. That's the first Final Fantasy game. And Mystic Quest, Final Fantasy USA, whatever it's called in Europe, was the second. But the first Final Fantasy game released under the Final Fantasy name was, you guessed it, 7. That was the first game released. That was the first Final Fantasy game released in Europe and Australia as well, or anywhere apart from Japan and the US. That's the first Final Fantasy game released under the name. I'm not sure if games like Final Fantasy Mystic Quest was called Mystic Quest in places like Australia. Start. I'm going to save the game here and I'm going to cut the video off because we're up to the time, so I'm going to go in and quickly grab the staff for Lena. Oh, I don't think Spira. Oh no, I don't think that's great. I'm just trying to scribble. See you next part.